Okay, so first of all, I'm a user of Cropital. I love it. I love the concept. I love the interface, and I've been using it actually for more than 1 year as a investor or like lender, and I'm benefiting from I think around like 7 to 10% annual return. Pero let me ask this, Ruel.
Thank you.
So ano ang Cropital?
Sige. Okay. So, we start muna with the name itself.
Yeah.
Actually, if you could see it, parang play of two words siya.
Yeah.
Yung crop and capital. So, yung pinaka-original idea naman talaga is rooted dun sa problem ng mga farmers natin na laging may issue about capital. Parang lagi na lang pag may news about ano yung mga reasons kung bakit challenge yung mga farmers or top problems ng mga farmers, laging lumalabas yung capital or financing. Okay. So yung Cropital, pinaka-main mission niya is to make financing or affordable financing more accessible to our small farmer. So dun na siya umiikot yung lahat ng activities and the things that we are doing. Nag-evolve na lang din siya along the way na parang we're highly focused in making sure na yung aside from may na-access sila na capital, meron din silang mga support services para ma-make sure na ma-maximize yung capital na na-access nila. So, yun yung si Cropital.
Okay. So, Cropital is like a lending platform where people can provide financial support to our farmers. So, medyo conceptual muna tayo. Why do we need to support our farmers?
Sige. At its core, ang pinaka gusto nating outcome is maging better yung quality ng lives ng mga farmers. So, It's very focused on the people behind. Na parang, at the end of the day, what we want is maganda yung quality of lives nila or better yung quality of lives nila. Pero if we will look at the how, and bakit ba important, anong relevance niya to other people like us who are doing the crowdfunding, who are supporting yung mga farmers, ganyan, we would link it din sa pinaka-basic na food security. Kasi lagi nilang sinasabi, yung age ng farmer sa Philippines, 57 na, 58, patanda na. So, paano na kapag in the future, may food pa ba tayong kakainin? Pero lagi ring na-argue na Singapore, wala nga sila halos farms pero food secured sila. Food security is one thing, pero alam mo yung parang kung i-compare mo naman kasi yung Singapore sa Philippines, may pera kasi sila. Highly developed sila as a country. So, afford nila na hindi mag-invest in agriculture. Pero tayo, we're in the middle of nowhere na parang hindi naman tayo top countries na in the events like pandemic na lahat ng tao kukuha ng food from other sources, from other countries, kaya ba natin mag-compete sa prices? Sa ngayon pala nga, parang commodities like vaccines, ang hirap mapunta sa waiting list kasi we're not that developed. So, food security is very important for countries like us. It's something that we should really understand. Pero at the same time, linking yung food security, parang the only way naman we could be food secured is if we invest enough in our sector or in agriculture.
Yeah.
And for us, we want to invest in farmers. Parang we want them to be at the center of the investment or at least nung focus. Kasi merong isang path na we could be food secured na ini-ignore natin yung mga farmers. I mean, we can do that. We can go towards that path na highly technical, highly technology, highly corporate. We can reach food security. Tapos, wala na yung mga farmers sa picture. We don't care. There's that path. Pero for us, we want to traverse yung path na nasa center ng developments, yung mga small farmers natin. And hopefully, sila yung magkaroon din ng pinaka-benefit. Ma-boost natin yung competitiveness ng country sa agri, sa food, and eventually, win-win situation siya for all of us.
Yeah. Actually, ayun nga yung like industrial model of modern countries. Like, nag-start lahat sa farms. Yun yung base ng productivity. You build farms, we make our farms productive, and yung surplus mapupunta naman sa other industries like factories, and then eventually education. So they say agriculture and farm is the base. Okay. So let's go dun sa financing aspect. So ano ba yung current problem sa financing ng farmers and paano exactly nakakatulong? Like for example, nag-invest ako sa Cropital. How exactly does it help the farmers?
Okay, sige. So, in terms of the financing situation or dun sa landscape sa farmers natin, actually right now, if we will look at the smallholder fisher and farmer sector, 60% already have access to, masasabi natin, formal financing. So, by formal, this could be co-ops, banks, ganyan. So, 60%. It's not too bad, pero 40% is still a very huge part na walang access at all sa banks or relying mostly on informal lending sources.
Okay.
So, yung 40% na to, we're talking about 1 million smallholder farmers. The standard system would be ranging yung interest rate from 5% per month to even 20% per month or even higher. Imagine paying that much of a loan. So, what we're trying to do first is make sure na ma-move yung mga farmers natin from high interest loans to lower interest rate loan. Yun yung mas prefer natin. Ano nga ba yung implication ng high interest rate loan? So, number one, definitely cost. Mas mahal yung binabayaran ng farmer. Instead nakita niya na, pinabayad niya pa for interest.
Yeah.
Then imagine, in 1,000 peso, 200 peso in a month, 20% per month, yung mapupunta sa interest. So, parang ang liit-liit na ng kinita mo, ang laki pa nung nabawas dahil sa interest lang. Pero that's a bit on the extreme side. Still, yung 5%, let's say 5 months or 6 months time, that's 30%. Malaki pa din siya kung titignan natin. And that's number one, yung cost. The next one is yung sa, I think, opportunity cost naman na side. Okay. So, bakit may involved na opportunity cost? Halimbawa, uutang ka ng ganun kalaki yung interest kasi yun lang yung source mo. Siyempre, ang pinaka-technique mo na is uutang ka ng maliit na amount. Kasi ayaw mo masyadong malaki yung mag-i-interest. And if maliit yung amount mo, normally, ito na yung may mga nako-compromise na, sige, ano lang, lesser yung quality muna ng inputs na I will use.
True.
Ganyan. Or parang, mag-iiwas ako sa ganito. Ganyan. Hindi ko na lang fertilize kasi okay lang yan. Opportunity ko. So, instead na ganito yung kikitain mo, ganito lang. Parang input, output naman eh. So, kung maliit yung input, maliit yung output na expected. Medyo ganun yung cycle niya. And siguro yung third na lang din is yung freedom. Normally kasi, yung term is natatali. Okay. Kapag borrower ka, the informal lenders kasi normally have their, parang yung mga invisible terms. Kumbaga, parang nagpapautang yung informal lenders kasi they have other interests. So, they could be the one buying the product, they could be selling inputs, or so on and so forth. And nakatali ka na parang nakatali ka sa price ng kung magkano nila bibilin, nakatali ka kung magkano nila binibenta yung inputs. So, medyo mas may added layer na parang may mga additional pa palang nababawas sa kita ko dahil dito sa tali na to. So, yun yung mga negative impact nung at least yung 40% na tinitignan natin. Everyone, or parang every person that we are able to move outside that system, if we will just look at the reverse, nakakasave sila on interest, nagkakaroon ng more opportunity to actually increase yung income kasi they can comfortably borrow more and guided pa. And lastly, mas may freedom sila. And actually, hindi lang freedom mas privilege pa. Kasi with Cropital store also coming in place and our other partner buyers, nabibili pa natin yung products ng farmers at even higher price than the standard market rate. Yeah, so yun yung mga benefits if we are able to support a farmer through Cropital.
It's actually amazing. Hindi ko na-imagine na ganun pala kalaki if ever yung impact ng financing. Like, it can make the farmer more free and then more privileges and then actually more powerful. And ang gusto kong malaman actually is about the informal lending and yung mga tali. Can we go sa land ownership or like yung farmers ba na partners ng Cropital, do they own their farms or are they renting those lands then kaya sila may tali? So ano ba yung current setup?
Okay. So most naman ng farmers natin, they own yung land.
Okay.
And in financing din naman kasi we need to really to limit the segment lang din na we should finance kasi going outside the segment na parang yun, we have the very very poor farmers and financing very critical to hit the right segment para yung repayment would be really more predictable. In our case, most of our farmers own the land they have or sila yung tinatawag na tenant, may rights sila over that land.
Okay.
Yung hindi sila pwedeng paalisin the following season kapag sinabi nung may-ari. So, yun yung mas common na profile ng farmers natin.
Okay. So, do you think yun yung ideal setup for the Philippines? Like, a farmer or like a farmer family, they own their piece of land against sa like hacienda system or like some government-owned farms. So, do you think farmers should own their own farmlands? Yun ba yung best for productivity and for the farmers?
Mm-hmm. Ako personally, hindi ako masyadong in favor with what's happening with the current system. Kasi I think yung agrarian reform, yun yung idea eh. Everyone has their land, ganyan.
Okay.
Pero several years after, as we can see now, yung pamana system, nangyayari siya.
Yeah.
Yung 1 hectare dati, tig half hectare na lang yung 2 tao. Then eventually, baka tig 1/4 yung anak niya. Ganyan. So parang, ang nangyayari is lumiliit yung ownership. And sa IE, we know na economies of scale. Na every time na maliit siya, mas costly siya. Kasi mas madaming issue, ganyan.
Overhead,
so, hindi for me ideal yung scenario na in terms of owning a land, definitely for me, good siya na may ownership naman yung mga farmers natin. Pero, alam mo yung hopefully up to a certain extent din and may flexibility, do siya eh. So, bawal maging 5 hectares and more. So, parang it complicates yung efficiency din in some cases.
Yeah. It's actually a complex problem, balancing the scale and like yung freedom. I mean, ano ba yung optimal productivity? Ano ba yung setup for optimal productivity? I think it's interesting. Pero ikaw, I mean, what exactly yung i-imagine mo?
Okay. So, the way I see the problem, kasi fragmented talaga tayo eh sa agri.
Yeah,
kaya ang hirap maging, if you will look at it in a systems thinking way, ang ganda sana if we could orchestrate it in the way na organized talaga, tapos efficient yung overhead. Pero looking down the ground to the level na every farmer kasi definitely they have a say or a right with their property or land. And you need to convince, let's say you want to do consolidation, let's say 1,000 hectares, ganyan. You need to convince 1,000 farmers to agree with you and to agree to every decision that you will make in order to make that happen. So parang it's an impossible task basically right now. But the way na nakikita ko siya is, I think yung pathway of organizing groups is very vital in kind of fixing or at least reducing yung friction that we have now. If we will frame it na parang, is there a way we could aggregate the needs of the farmers, kahit individually they would decide, and enable them to act as if they are one, even though they are working individually. Medyo ganun yung thinking na baka pwede, baka possible.
I think it's a very interesting problem. Like democracy on the agricultural level. Okay, so let's go first dito sa isang anecdote na nakita ko sa Nikkei Asia. The lenders are more interested in supporting farmers than profiting, according to Cropital CEO Ruel Amparo. So do you see Cropital as more of a fundraising platform for the farmers or an investment platform for the lenders?
For now, I think it's really mas fundraising pa at this point. But yung investment side kasi that's the goal, di ba? Parang we're investing in agriculture para ma-boost nila yung competitiveness, basically. Investment, it would become, from fundraising, it could become a more viable investment as we move across period of time. Kasi nothing naman was built perfectly in a day. And fundraising is a good starting point kasi we have a small niche or a small set of people na willing to start risking with the farmer and supporting the farmer. Pero if we would look at it on a scale perspective, fundraising perspective is not very scalable. Parang at some point, it has to be an investment perspective so that we could open up more market, like more groups of people
I see.
who will be willing to invest in agriculture. So for me, at this stage, we're still within that fundraising pool na parang as much as possible, we get muna the people who really wants to help muna the farmers. And while Cropital and everyone else is still working and trying our very best to make sure that the technology that we are providing our farmers really help them, scaling things up, fixing all the gaps na nakikita pa natin, the more robust it can become as an investment. And the more people or more group na nakikita nating engaging with us. So just to quickly share, we started with individuals basically.
Okay.
Then right now we already are getting foundations that are lending to small farmers.
Okay.
And actually some banks have already, parang we're already working with some banks, pero not necessarily on the financing, pero more of enabling them to lend to small farmers. So parang it's really something that evolves through time, the way we are seeing it. Pero it's inevitable na we have to become an investment vehicle so that more farmers could really benefit.
Yun actually yung naisip ko lang, random thought. Bakit hindi charity platform or something? Yun pala yung like benefit if we post it as an investment platform. Can we go sa operations side? First of all, how do you decide or how do you find farmers in the first place? And then, how do they apply for like loans?
Okay, sige. Dun muna tayo sa farmer. So, based from what we've learned then for many years, right now, we are working with farmer groups or cooperatives. So, we decide kung anong region yung mga focus. But basically, every time we enter a municipality, parang we navigate through yung different farmer groups in that municipality and we try to assess which ones yung based on our assessment process namin, which ones yung could qualify to become like a Cropital community partner or farmer group partner. And once we have, let's say it's a cooperative, it's a farmer group, it's an IA, the members would now have access to Cropital individually. We accredit first the group para at least we know the management kasi may MOA din with the group and may responsibilities din sila. But if they are already accredited, the members can already start applying. And yung office ng group, technically, parang yun na din yung nagiging satellite office ng Cropital in their community. So may application forms na doon, may mga doon nagpapasa, doon nagbabayad. So normally, ganun yung how we acquire farmers.
Ano na ba yung reach ng Cropital in terms of provinces in the Philippines?
Now, we have 10 provinces.
Okay.
So, meron sa Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Bulacan, Pangasinan, Batangas, Laguna, we have Mindoro, we have Samar, we have Leyte, we have Bohol. So,
Okay, so yung question, how do you set the interest rate for the farmers and how do you set the ROI rate for the lenders? Kung okay lang i-share.
Yeah, sure. So, for the farmers, actually medyo iba-iba rin yung rate. Depende sa group, depende sa assessment. On the farmer group, parang technically may credit profile yung farmer group, may credit profile yung individual farmers themselves. So, the better the profile, the more na we could reduce yung rate for them.
Okay.
So, yung lowest that we've provided, I think it's 1.6% per month na interest rate. Pero yung cap kasi namin, yung parang pinaka-highest that we are charging is actually at 2% per month na rate. Which is still parang 1% even lower than some of the formal financing. So, yun yung on the side na farmer. On the side of the lender naman, in terms of the return rate, actually this was parang kung ano yung na-start namin before na 3.5%, hindi pa namin siya ulit na-adjust into some rates basically. Pero the main basis for that during that time was market rate also. We tried to assess parang, okay, nasan ba tayo? Are we as risky as stocks?
Okay.
Tapos, or as safe as, let's say, bonds, ganyan. Tapos, during that time, that was 2016, we tried to assess which part yung parang the right spot. And also, may unting premium lang on that kasi we want na mas mababa yung rate ni farmer eh. So, parang we felt na, let's assume na lang na there's a premium on impact. Na some lenders would actually consider na this rate is fair given that I'm also doing impact. So parang at least we actually feel na it's also a filter, at least for now. Kasi as I mentioned, it will become a stronger investment vehicle as we move towards the future eh. Pero right now, since hindi pa ganun ka-perfect and ka-robust yung system, we would prefer muna din individuals who understand the nature of farming. Kasi gusto natin mababa yung rate kay farmer in the first place eh. Ganyan. So parang that's how we're looking at it for the moment.
Yeah, pero to be honest, I think yung 3.5% every 4 to 6 months, like 7 to 10% per year, I think it's good enough na. I mean, yeah, I think it's... Yeah,
medyo fair na, no?
Yeah, actually, hindi lang, more than fair. I mean, it's very attractive, I think. Okay, so paano nagsimula ang Cropital? When you were in college... Are you already into Cropital or social entrepreneurship?
Sige, actually nakakatawa nga ikaw, JANNI, kasi di ba pinagpa-project mo yung mga students, so na gawa kayo ng ng tech company, ganyan. Actually, medyo same kasi nag-take kami nila DJ, si DJ pa yung groupmate ko din ng technopreneurship. Tapos si Sir Abis, yung professor namin during that time. Tapos yung project namin was actually virtual farming na project. And medyo binabalikan ko pa din yung slides nun minsan eh. Pero interestingly, for me, it's really the inspiration din of what Cropital is today. Pero definitely, ang daming nangyari din along the way kung bakit nabuo, kung bakit nagkaroon ng opportunity to implement. Yeah, basically medyo yung naging pathway. Pero important pa din na I can't miss is, personally kasi we have our own farm din in Bulacan. And small farmers din yung mga relatives ko doon ng palay or rice din. So, medyo may initial knowledge din ako and understanding about the nature and yung problem. Kaya medyo mas may onting factor siya in pushing through this particular idea.
Okay. Since we know you're a graduate of industrial engineering from UP Diliman, interesting lang to know, like, also for students, yung IE skills or like concepts na pinaka nagamit mo into social entrepreneurship and Cropital?
Okay, sige. Actually, ang hirap tandaan yung exact concepts eh. Pero the ones na I think very critical is, well, the general systems thinking. I mean, if I would look at it as a general aspect. Kasi yung ability mo to map the stakeholders, to map the process, and your ability to find the gaps in the system and yung inefficiencies in the system. Yeah. For me, it's very important kasi it helped me day in, day out in solving problems. Okay. At the start, when you're still finding yung value proposition mo as an organization, ang perspective mo is, nasan ba yung gap sa system right now? Saan ba may missing na link? And sino ba yung mga stakeholders na nawawala to make it more efficient, basically? For me, that's important. Then, another aspect is yung on the side ng process improvement or yung continuous improvement na tinatawag natin. Kasi, hindi ko din expect na sobrang process-oriented nung gagawin namin. Kasi parang we started crowdfunding, ganyan. Pero apparently, we shifted na we have a very, very huge process na lending, essentially. Kasi you need that to make sure makakabayad eh. And yun, understanding yung process flows, knowing how to improve, where to improve, how to make things more efficient. Tapos yung yung approach natin na sa production line na okay, meron ka machine 1, machine 2, machine 3, machine 4. Ilan yung rejects? Ilan yung rejects? Ilan yung success sa dulo? So parang I'm looking at it na parang we have process 1, process 2, process 3, process 4. Tapos yung ideal scenario is, nakabayad si farmer na improve niya yung income. Pero again, may mga results dun na, reject. Hindi siya nagbayad. Bakit hindi siya nagbayad? Kaya, so parang meron dun, nahirapan si farmer. So we go back to the machine or the factory, ay kulang ng ganitong machine or ay kailangan i-calibrate si ganitong machine. Tapos, it's really interesting. Nagkaroon na din ng a lot part ng processes na nagiging better na yung funnel or yung filters to the point na nai-improve mo talaga yung end outcome along the way. So, I think sobrang ganda ng production systems ba or process improvement ba yung term doon.
Both naman.
Ayan. And lastly is yung sa statistics and data side. Kasi actually yung elective din na tinake namin before, si DJ rin ka group ko, data mining. Sa totoo lang, it's really, really helpful sa ngayon. Lalo na we've been building credit models. And ayun, we're working with statisticians, data scientists. So it really helps me to understand how we are approaching it. And one of the main or most important funnel then in lending to farmer is having the ability to rate risk. So I think very important yung data component or yung statistics component ng IE. At least for me and the organization.
Okay. Ano ang greatest achievement of Cropital so far?
Okay. In terms of greatest achievements, I think we've reached na kasi almost 2,000 farmers. And for me, very farmer-centric yung outcome namin. And for me, that's the greatest achievement na we have so far. And we're quite happy naman with how we are delivering the new services with them.
Okay. I think it's amazing. Thank you, Ruel. Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about Cropital and best wishes for Cropital.
Thank you so much. Salamat, JANNI. Bye-bye.